of, the angular size, that apparent position of the Blackpool Tower is making that essentially magnified a little closer. So to me, it's a level stationary Earth with just the layers of atmosphere and the different magnification that's happening within the matrix.
Just to wrap up your answer in a nutshell, the reason why the mountain is lower is due to magnification.
Well, the reason that the skyline is higher is due to the magnification.
Higher. Good one, Gio. I like that.
It brings it up.
But then why is it higher than the tower then?
Well, it's like, imagine if you took a magnifying glass, like a strip of a magnifying glass, like a strip, and then put that on that lower where the city skyline is. It would magnify that city skyline closer, and then the mountain behind, there's a different layer of atmosphere in which the mountain is not being affected by that.
That's what I said, yeah. I said that to Ranty, and he lost his,
What else is new with Ranty?
I said something to Ranty. He was on Brandon's show the other day, and I did say during that show, I said something. I said a couple things, and then I said, I think magnification is the key to understanding that photo. And right after I said that, he kind of made this. He kind of went, "Oh, really?" He kind of something like that. He kind of was like, he made some kind of a. Not really like, he wasn't like a critical sigh. He wasn't saying, "Oh, you're an idiot," but he was just kind of like, "Oh." Anyway, so all I know is that he kind of heard at least a little bit of my thoughts on it. So.
Yo, welcome, Neil.
Neo, going on?
What's up?
Just trying to get. I think Ranty wants someone to debunk his video. He's made a video which he says proves the globe. So
giving us another black swan. Thank you.
I know. They can't see it though. They just won't look at the left side for the life of them, and they're like, no, don't look at the left side. Ignore the black swan over there. Let's focus on the mountains on the lower. So I'm just trying to get some.
What do you think he trimmed it off the picture?
Well, obviously it's clearly that it proves we're on a flat plane, but they want to focus on the middle section. So what's the answer for the middle section? How would we answer that?
Well, I can understand why they're coming to this. I mean, I can understand in a sense why. Like, I think a similar thing happens with city skylines when they get magnified, then they get cut off from the bottom up. And you can find certain observations where you can get on a certain day a city skyline that's being cut off from a certain level, and that could comport you could catch it to where that comports with what the 8 inches per mile squared could be, and then you could say, here it is, see, it's being cut off.
Right.
But in reality, if you go on different days, you go at different times, you get different amounts of the building cut off in a lot of these cases. So in those cases, it shows that it's really optical. It's not the curve of the Earth. But I'm saying it's sort of like cherry picking, but it's sort of like selecting a particular observation where the magnification happens like that happens to comport with what the curvature might be, and then saying it's a globe Earth. So I think that's the same thing that's happening with this photo with Ranty, is that it happens to comport with that, but that doesn't mean the Earth's a globe.
Here's the only thing that bothers me with this whole thing. Nathan runs a debate show every day. We all know this. If he's got this lock solid proof, why is he not coming on Nathan's show and talking about it?
Well,
you really believe that, Neil?
I did say to Ranty, look, if it was me.
Hang on. Do you really believe that, Neil? You think that it's a debate show?
Of course, I'm on a panel. Anybody
I don't think it's a debate show. And I think a lot of people share that opinion.
Yep. You come in with some proof, you heard. Nobody could come in with proof. So
let's get it right,
Neil.
Neil.
Down and treat it like an animal. What do you want me to tell you?
Come on, Neil. You know, the first 40 minutes of that show is you guys going through your housekeeping questions.
That nobody could answer.
And
Why don't you come in, I've got to answer a question.
And then the last 10... Are you going to let me finish now? And then the last 10 minutes... Oh, you're going to think about it. You see, this is the problem. You can't even have a conversation with you. And you're on that
trained by Oakley. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. We're all Oakley clones. I know.
Well, you're not allowing me to make my point, are you?
We know.
You're asking for people to go in there and debate you guys. That's a problem.
Come on with some proof. Come on, I want to go back on the board. Listen, I was a space cadet. I love Star Wars and everything.
Me too.
But nobody could show me anything.
I said to
You know that like archetypal situation out of like movies where you're standing in front of like some evil person and they're asking you a question and then they're gonna like pull the trap door if you answer the wrong thing, and then you're gonna go falling into the pit of snakes.
Yes.
That's what it reminds me of sometimes what Nathan shows like. It's like it's set up for them to twist your arm and pull the trap door.
Well, I just think it's hilarious. You can call it something which spends the last 10 minutes, in air quotes, having a debate. That's just Oakley muting someone as soon as they say something.
I don't think he has been there lately. I think what he does now is allows the baller to talk over and then Nathan will say, Fundy muting me, you won't let me speak. So I'm not sure
is that a debate though, Kimo?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm not sure if he does deploy the mute as often. I don't know. I haven't watched it for a while, so I don't know.
But let's say he doesn't.
No, these guys.
He has a couple of.
Hold on. I'm on every day. Every time a point is coming across, they start talking. I listen. They mute his points every time.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Sure. But the show itself, its format, is not a debate show, just by the fact that they spend most of the time not debating.
Well, I think the other problem I have with Oakley is you go in with a point that you want to make and that point gets diverted to an argument that they want to have.
Not true.
That's my personal experience.
What point do you want to... Give me an example.
Sure, I went in to have a chat with Nathan on his use of fallacies.
Yeah, it wasn't the shape of the earth.
And
the fact that he's employing them wrong. Like ad hom. He uses ad hom fallacy all the time when someone's just insulting him.
So why don't you then super chat it and then you can read it out and then you can make your point that way?
Are any of these debate shows? What's the criteria for a debate show?
Wow.
Well, are you talking? What sort of shows are you talking about, Brian?
Well, I thought you had, as I
sound like a bunch of
debate show, you have a given amount of time to present your case, and then your opponent has a given amount of time to present their case.
Oh, sure. There's very few structured debates. Of course, Oakley is not structured.
It's not a debate show. It's an entertainment show. That's all it is. Same as this place. Exactly the same as this place.
Well, this is what I say. Where I was saying that Neil, that how could he say it's a debate show? So why would anyone want to bring forth their argument there? That's the point.
Have the argument. That's why. That's number one. Number two, have the tables have turned. Come on, listen to some of the early shows.
What do you mean the tables have turned?
Tables have turned. We got the
Do you actually
now? I know it hurts.
Well, this
do you actually have evidence for a flat Earth then, Neil? Can you actually prove that the Earth is flat?
We have evidence that the Earth is not a sphere.
No. Do you have evidence that the Earth is flat?
Josh, you don't even need to ask me about that. You need to find out why the tables have turned.
Hold on. You have the extraordinary claim.
I wasn't talking to you, Neil.
Water ball. Prove it. Show me.
No. We have the preponderance of evidence, and we have the preponderance of evidence, and it's the established paradigm.
That doesn't make it right, does it?
No, but it means you need to debunk it,
yes.
and it means that you need to bring evidence to show that if you hold to a flat Earth, if that's what you say the shape of the Earth is, I know most of you now don't have the courage to do that. But if you are stating that the Earth is flat, then present your evidence.
Why are you engaging it like this? He says that the tables have turned, and somehow they're winning. Just ask him why. What has he done? I'm not asking specifically for his proof of the flat Earth. He's run off now.
There is no geometric sphere edge horizon. Water finds its own level.
Water cannot curve
spin,
around.
Else it would affect
Mike O'Brien.
plumb bob.
It's going to be one each.
If you've got, if you've got a ludicrous situation where the very thing you're living on is spinning at a rate that it distorts itself into an ellipsoid, then it should have an effect on the surface, even more so, I would imagine, the further you go away from it. And we don't see any of that, do we? There's my evidence.
Yeah, that is something that they ignore. They ignore the evidence, the body of evidence, the overwhelming evidence. And as Neil said, as I've been saying to Ranty, if he doesn't want to go on Nathan's, he can also go on 24/7. He can go on Brandon's. He can go on Bev's. From here, obviously, and he can go on the after show when Nathan's gone if he doesn't want to speak to Nathan, for example. There was no excuse, really, not to take this out to the public.
I think he does have an excuse. I think you, particularly with Oakley's, but because they've ignored what he presented. Why should he respond to their blabber when they haven't responded to what he put out?
I'll tell you why. Is because you built a straw man that we haven't made names of.
Yeah, I really don't think this one works for you.
If you say this doesn't work,
Oakley's nonsense,
but if you say
what you're saying is
what I've just said, Jem. You totally ignore what I've just said.
I didn't actually hear what you just said. I was on the phone.
Right. Your ludicrous situation of what you think you live on is it is spinning at a rate that distorts its very shape into an ellipsoid. That's what you are taught to believe, but you cannot detect that same centrifugal force on the surface of this earth. Now, just let that. Don't ignore it. Don't let it go over your head.
Well, I think
sink in.
But I think you have a kind of a misunderstanding of that idea.
It is distorting a planet. I can't give you the forces involved, but if it distorts your planet, then it must be quite powerful, correct?
Well, the planet has formed in a distorted fashion.
So what humps the water up then?
Well, I don't think anything is humping the water up.
Well, you better fucking talk to your gods then, because they say it's humped up 22 kilometers at the.
Well, like I say, this is where we get into your misunderstanding of that idea, I think.
No, the water didn't form into a hump, did it? I could understand if you're saying the terra firma might have, fair enough.
Right, well, there you go. What's under the water?
What does the water follow the earth now, or does it form a level plane above the surface that it's in, the container it's in?
Well, it to an extent, it does both, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. You fill up a distorted bottle.
Well, where is the water where there isn't water?
All right, go and get a bottle of pop, and you'll see all the bottom is all sucked in, isn't it? In like little
Brian? Where is the water where there isn't earth underneath it? The two go together always, right?
Not always.
Well, what are we going to talk about? Rain?
No. The water's below.
What body of water does not have land underneath it?
All bodies of water need containing.
What's underneath the oceans?
Land, isn't there?
How do you know?
Just not water to the center of the earth, is it?
Center of what earth?
What annoys me intensely is when I put something forward like that, you don't even discuss. You just dismiss it instantly.
Yeah. That's not true, Brian.
That's what tells me this place is set up to carry on the deception.
But that's not true, Brian, is it? Because
I don't know.
You've raised.
You're not debating. You are projecting still their nonsense.
You've raised this point many, many times in the past,
and you just ignore it.
That's not true. People have talked about this with you. Different people have argued with you about this for hours. So it's not true to say that it's just been ignored, is it? That's just not true.
I think
it's kind of entirely irrelevant, and it's a sort of a distraction from listen, nearly there. Well, it was a distraction from what we were talking about, which was ranty debating stuff, basically. But I'm happy with having a distraction. It's not a big problem. You know, if we want to, we have done that thing to death, and doesn't bother me if we want to move on to something else for a bit. We can come back to it when we need to.
If this is,
but that's how I think, as you see it, it seems like you see it like the water is being held in this vast wall, 30 miles high or whatever, by centrifugal force, and that's kind of how you're describing it, and that just isn't what's going on.
Well, that's how Google describe it.
Well, I don't think they do.
Show
me where they do that.
I would, but my phone's gone flat because I was listening early while I was working. And I honestly believe now, if this is a worldwide deception, places like yours, I'm not saying yours, but places like yours have been set up to carry on this deception.
But who is doing the deception, though?
Well, I mean, that's just bollocks, isn't it? I mean, how are we carrying on the deception? We're just a Discord server with 2,500 members. I mean, come on, Brian. Come back to reality. We affect no one with anything. Well, it's ridiculous. If there were really these powers that be that were trying to suppress you, they would just censor all flat Earth stuff, like they have all the election stuff and all the mask and anti-vax stuff. They would just censor it all.
And they don't. Have they not done that? Who's had their channel shut down then?
Nobody's had it shut down for flat Earth. You name a person who's had a channel shut down for flat Earth content.
Dubai's had about 3.
No, Dubai. He had his channel shut down because he had made a video called A Love Letter to Hitler. I mean, that's why he had his channel shut down, because he's a deeply offensive fascist.
It was a nasty video.
Like all little boys are on the internet.
Are you saying fascists can't have their say?
Sleeping Warrior.
Not the video that he uploaded.
I'm saying that was the reason he was removed from YouTube, not flat Earth.
Exactly.
200 proofs. It's all over the place. It's all over YouTube. Other versions of it, where people have downloaded it and re-upped it.
Yep. If I search flat Earth right now on YouTube, and then I search upload date, then I will find everybody who's live, including the Globebusters, the 24/7, this channel. It's not censored.
Today has literally just released a
video.
Did
you say Globebusters and this channel?
Globebusters 24/7, Flat Earth Discord, and this channel. That was the search I got today. Yeah, whoever's live under the tag Flat Earth. So how is that censorship when I can literally search real time for real time live Flat Earth content? How is that censorship? In what planet is that censorship?
We don't live on a planet.
In what realm is it censorship?
If it wasn't censored, you guys would have went on that north to south flight with Greater Sapien. But because the flat Earth is censored, they have to scam people and pretend you have a north and a south pole.
Oh, you can't explain the rotations of the celestial.
Not interested in anything in the sky. We don't live in the fucking sky. We live.
No, we don't live in the sky. No, but we live on something that gives us a duration of viewing. That's what you don't understand, Brian.
If it is a projection, they could make that fucking thing make you think anything.
A projection of what?
Give us solid measurements from down here, not from the fucking skies.
But the thing is, they don't.
You don't know what they are. We don't know what the fuck they are.
Yes, we do, and they don't make.
Jen.
Hold on, they don't make it anything, do they? A popular flat Earth argument is that the stars haven't changed for thousands of years. We recognize individual stars. We know we give them names and we use them to navigate.
You believe that, Jeff?
Listen, what is not true
You just
about what I
trust
just
that.
said?
You don't-
We
you just-
recognize stars and give them names.
On trust.
How is that? How is any of that not true?
Based on trust that they've got
It's
it
not.
right.
It's based on being able to recognize them.
No,
in their positions in the constellations. We
just
recognize them, right?
That is a belief.
Correct.
Belief.
No, it's not. I look up and I see it.
You
Stars.
have all seen the corkscrewing that we are supposed to be doing through this fucking ludicrous space.
God.
And yet our background does not change over thousands of years.
Wrong. Completely
wrong.
wrong.
Well, according to you, our background is just a projection that can be anything.
Exactly. But you don't
So you're
take
arguing against yourself now.
If it was what you have been told, surely that background would have in fact, you wouldn't have two nights the same.
It does change.
No, it doesn't.
It has
The stars are in
changed.
exactly the same
We're going
place,
through the zodiacs.
day the
Yes,
next
we are.
year.
And the old North Star was Thuban.
Prove that. Prove it. You can't.
Prove what?
You can't prove it because they've filled your head full of
We
shit.
don't need to, well, look, we don't need to prove it. What we can see is again, we can see stars and we can recognize them. Now you can call them something else. You can call them luminaries if you think it makes you sound wise and new agey. But I will call them stars because that's what English people call those little white dots in the sky. And we recognize them, we give them names, and we have used them to navigate to specific points on the surface of the Earth for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So
Yes,
to say that, to just, the other thing I will say about them is, or at least the sky as a whole, is it is half of your experience when you're outside. Half of what you're experiencing is the sky. So to just pretend that you can just write it off and say, well, I'm just going to talk about the ground, and I don't have to explain any of that. I can come up with any nonsense explanation for the shape of the ground, and it doesn't have to have any coherency with what I see in the sky. You know, that's not a reasonable position to hold. The sky is part of your experience. You've never experienced Earth without sky, and you need to explain what is going on in it. You can't just write it off. And like I say, we use it to navigate to specific points on Earth. Thank you very much.
We are doing billions of miles, probably a week, and the background does not change in thousands of years. I'm sorry.
But it does.
If you cannot see through that deception, then that is on you and not
Well,
me.
I can't see through that
I'll go
deception
back to
because
work.
it doesn't exist, Brian. They do change. They are recorded as changing. We've recorded this in many thousands of stars. So pretending that they don't change because you saw some YouTube video with the Earth whipping round in a corkscrew doesn't make that true. It's just bollocks on the internet. The stars do change. That's why astronomers have to have new, whatever they call it, the manual thing that they have to find where stars are. They have to have a new one every decade or so because stuff moves around. Sorry, was somebody else trying to get in there?
Yeah, I was just pointing out that he bravely ran away from the argument.
Well, how is he getting away with simply asserting over and over that they haven't changed? In the moment somebody brings up, well, yeah, they have, prove it. Prove it, he says. How disingenuous is he?
Yeah, let's jump back 3,000 years, because we can do that, of course. We can just go to any time period we like to prove something.
Also, Brian, what's the reason why zodiac signs were recently changed? Oh, I guess he left.
Yeah, he's got such courage of his convictions that he gave up and left.
You talk about the 13th sign, Officius?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can divide the sky up into 12 or 13 pieces, basically. So
you can divide it up into 1,000 pieces.
Right. So if you divide it by 13, you can get a Ophiuchus is the other constellation you can add in there, but it didn't really change. And the zodiac is still the 12 signs, but it can be viewed that way. But it's not like anything was changed in the sky. It's just a way of whether just like a stencil, which stencil you want to use.
Well, you know the lunar calendar, like the Jewish one and the Muslim lunar calendars, they can have 12 or 13 months in them.
Yeah. So
look,
I
Harley.
understand your
Harley.
Okay. Yes.
You've been lied to about the globe. You've got no evidence to prove the Earth is curving and spinning and in a
I
vacuum.
thought somebody was talking when Chemo just stepped in. Is that true, or were you done?
You know this, Harley.
No, what exactly? I mean, you're just making assertions. You're not proving anything.
Okay, so me
and
and
I was
you
actually talking to Gio when you stepped in.
Oh, but I was just saying that we've both been lied to about the shape of the Earth.
Yeah, over the top of Gio.
And I'm gonna reject your claim.
Without evidence.
No, okay, Kimo, let's make one thing really, really clear.
Crystal.
You, as flat earthers, are the ones who are actually challenging the scientific status quo, which means that the burden of proof rests on you. Not only do you have to debunk the globe, but you actually have to replace it with something that actually works. And only then is your flat earth becoming true.
Well, Harley, falsification is independent of replacement. Did you know that?
No, in scientific sense, it actually isn't.
Yeah.
Either you falsify it and replace it with something else, or you falsify it and it doesn't do anything.
It's independent of replacement.
Yeah, but still, scientific status quo. That's the problem.
Yeah, but that's appealing to consensus fallacy, Harley.
No, it isn't actually.
Can't just say
because scientific status quo isn't an opinion. There's a difference. Whether like majority of people believe in some god, and you would appeal to majority, saying that everybody believes that in this or that god, so the god must be true. This is a fallacy, but it doesn't apply to things that we can actually scientifically prove and demonstrate.
Yeah, but you're appealing to a higher authority, but you can't demonstrate their claim. You're saying just believe them. You're asking him why would they lie?
Yeah, I mean, doesn't the globe have its own burden of proof? I mean, I personally don't look for others and put burdens on others to prove things to myself. If I want something to prove to myself, I look into it myself. So I don't really claim that other people have burdens. However, if somebody does claim the Earth is a globe or claims the Earth is flat, if they're trying to make that claim to prove it to someone, wouldn't they be equally having a burden? Like, doesn't the globe need to be proven? Just because a lot of people believe it doesn't mean it's proven.
You hear that, Harley?
It does, actually.
I think that was to Ali.
Well, I choose to disagree.
Why? He's saying just because lots of people believe in it doesn't mean it's true.
Why do lots of people believe in it?
Indoctrination.
No, it isn't done indoctrination, because indoctrination doesn't apply to things that are dealing with nature, because we are employing the methodological naturalism, which is part of scientific method.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you this: everyone that was taught the globe as a child, how many of us proved it for ourselves? I think the easy answer is 0.
Not one.
Hey, the fuck up.
Not one glober or person has proved the globe.
Oh, shut up. Where do you get off talking like that, Gio?
We agree.
Well, you just have to believe it.
Who are you to assess what I have or haven't done?
Did you prove the globe when you were a child?
When I was a child?
Yeah, when you were taught it.
You just added that since you made
No, he
that.
never. He said nobody when they were a child has proven.
Chemo, stay out of this. Gio, why did you add that stipulation in later after I called you on it?
Oh, that was the whole point I was saying, is that that was what I just said, is that when we were children and we were taught the globe, I said, how many of us proved it to ourselves? And I said, 0. None of us proved it to ourselves. We just believed it.
What else, what would you do as a child to prove it to yourself, as you say? And again, if you were taught flat earth in school as a child, what would you do to prove it to yourself as a child?
Yeah, it'd be the same if they just, I guess.
So what's the point of your question, Gio?
What is the point
My
of
point
this?
is, it's not a question. What I'm saying is that nobody, as children, we were taught it, but we didn't prove it to ourselves. If we were taught that water boils, we could see water boil and we could prove that. I'm just saying with the globe Earth, none of us proved it. We just believed what we were taught.
Right.
Might have believed that it always boils at 212 at sea level too.
I think if the Earth was a globe, it would have been great. We could have done field trips and we all could have gone and measured curvature.
Oh, wait.
That would have been good.
The globe, the Earth is a globe. The globe is not a claim. The globe is knowledge.
It's an opinion.
It was discovered. It is known.
Oh,
it's not a claim.
Nobody knows what the shape of the Earth is.
Yeah. You got that, Gio?
All right.
Not a claim.
All right. So what does Ranty's picture prove? What does it prove? What's the shape of the Earth does it prove?
Before we get away from that, Kim,
Proves the top of the mountain's lower than the top of the tower.
So how do you know the ground
curvature
how do you know the ground
in that area, in that for that distance?
How do you know the ground's not sloping down?
What? Oh, sloping down now.
Yeah, how do you know? How do you know it hasn't just dropped down because of the ground? It's sunken ground.
Okay, when you come up with an intelligible question, I'll deal with it.
Right, so you don't know.
I'm not even going to attempt to answer that stupid childish question.
So what's the cause of that?
Get out of here.
What's the cause of the drop then?
The curvature of the Earth.
What's the radius? What's the rate of that curvature?
No, this is not quiz show.
No,
you got it. You know I know all this. Don't give me this.
That's the point. You can't just say it's because of something with no measurement.
No, we I
have the measurements.
Spoke about this before.
What are the measurements?
We spoke about this before, though, Gio. Your idea of explaining what we see and witness doesn't match reality and cannot be used at the same level, especially when it comes to predictive capabilities. So you say this, zodiac map thing from David Weiss. He borrows the globe information and then plots it onto a half-ass working clock, as proven by Wolfie, and then that's it. So you hijack what you need and throw away what you don't and call it, we can't work that stuff out. But we can. And so to say there's not cohesive understanding, you're lying to yourself, or you're simply ignorant of the information
What's
that
the
exists.
question, Sheeple?
The question is, how can you say that there's no evidence or information to show that we know the shape of the Earth?
Gio. Is that to Gio? Yes, Gio.
I guess you're talking to me, but I don't think I ever said that.
You
I
spoke
think what
about
I said is that none of us proved it to ourselves when we were taught it when we were children.
Oh yeah, I'm going back before that. Before you went into that, you talked about, not knowing about, I don't know your exact words. I can't do it verbatim, but it was about not having the information to know whether it was a globe or not. But the globe model, or the people who, work in things like geophysics, work with the understanding and refine the understanding, and what they do and what they find can't work on any other globe, which reinforces the globe. Then we have satellites in orbit, which doesn't work on a flat Earth. So all of these things are just, half-assed attempts at hand-wave dismissal or flat-out denial. You're not you're not showing us what refutes it. You're just trying to dismiss the explanations that the globe gives. It's not really good.
This is not evidence, sheeple. This is preaching again.
No, it's a positive claim that you can't refute it other than denial.
Well, is that all you're going to say? You deny, deny, deny. Let's get into the evidence.
Well, refute it then.
Your straw man.
What's my straw man?
Ranty's picture.
Didn't even mention Ranty's picture.
What do you want about that?
I listed things before when you were off doing whatever you're doing.
Before Ranty's
and all of those
picture.
things work in cohesion with everything else simultaneously, anywhere, at any location, at any time.
Mathematics, yes, not practical.
Not mathematics, reality.
Like what?
Actuality.
Where's the real measurable curvature? In reality. Precisely. How can anyone be in this position and not have a measurement?
I wish you'd addressed my question and not try and get out of it with yours.
I still don't get
How do
your
we
question.
have all these understandings down to understanding what casts the shadow during a lunar eclipse, and you have, we don't know how the sky works?
Oh, right, you have some information based on mathematics, yeah, so what? Problem there.
So we've got a plausible understanding. What's your excuse?
No, that's not plausible. You could just explain.
What is it then?
Of course, it's plausible.
No, you can't just make something up and say that's plausible.
No, we're just saying these are things anybody can see. That's not made up. You can see these are observations.
Mm-hmm. So we're told.
Well, yeah, eclipses happen when there's 4 celestial points that line up: the sun, the moon, the north node, and the south node. So we already know that there's these nodes of the moon, which are 180 degrees from each other. They make a 19-year retrograde cycle, so we know exactly where they are in the zodiac. Every time the sun and the moon, a full moon or a new moon, aligns with those, we get an eclipse. So it could be perfectly predicted, and has been for eons, thousands and thousands of years.
No, it hasn't been perfectly predicted because the models was incomplete in the old days.
In terms of when they'll happen and how they'll occur, they could be predicted down to the degree.
They couldn't. You could get an estimation of the date something might occur. You didn't know where it would occur. You didn't know whether it would be total eclipse or annular eclipse. You didn't know the duration. You didn't know anything other than it might happen on this date somewhere.
Well, I don't agree, because the zodiac shows all of that. It shows exactly the position on the Earth. It shows the position on the Earth that it'll happen. It shows.
No, it just doesn't. No, this is wrong. Well, your information is wrong, Gio. Don't know where you got it from. The solar cycle does not have that level of detail you are saying it does.
You have the north node, the south node, the sun and the moon.
Yeah, repetition doesn't make your argument any better. What you're saying about their ability to predict is factually incorrect.
Gio should be invited to supply evidence to back his claim.
Yeah, well, apparently we don't work like that here.
Well, I'm trying to. Gio,
well, I was
where do you get this idea from? Why are you saying this is so?
Like a partial eclipse is when the nodes of the moon are not
No,
aligned
Gio,
as tight a degree to
where
the
did you,
sun.
Gio, why are you saying this? Please don't avoid this question. This is the most important one. Why are you saying this? What do you have to back up this idea?
An ephemeris, which is a book of all of the positions of the celestial bodies and how they're aligned. Do you know if you're familiar with an ephemeris?
It's not part of my yearly reading.
Ephemeris.
You try to read something once a year, but not that.
All that is a collection of data of the motions of astronomical objects. Geo, you're not answering the question.
I'm posting in the chat right now. This is the Great American Eclipse. So the nodes of the moon are next to the sun and the moon. So yeah, I mean, this has been known for thousands of years. It's just the ephemeris is just a book that shows what degree each of these objects will be at. But so, I mean, the idea, if they align with these nodes, the idea that those nodes might block out the light or there might be dark bodies there makes complete sense to me.
All right. Just for fun, can you explain how this would work on a flat Earth?
Well, this chart is a geocentric chart. So
that's fine. But how about a flat geocentric Earth?
He wants a model, Geo.
Well, if you put an AE map underneath this, which someone did it for me. I have a couple. I mean, that's essentially what's happening. I mean, that shows the fixed star constellations, the sun, the moon, the wandering stars, the planets, as it were, and their positions in a circle above us, as they're above us.
Well, Geo, you said yourself that for these eclipses to occur, a number of things need to be in alignment. And of those things, there was the sun, the moon, and the earth. Now, for a lunar eclipse, I'd like for you to explain to me how the sun, moon, and earth are in alignment for the earth to cast a shadow on the moon for that lunar eclipse.
That doesn't happen.
Well, I don't think the earth is putting any shadow on the moon. And I didn't say
says it does. The evidence that you are giving here, this story is, whatever this says, is about how the earth, sun, and moon are aligned. Am I wrong?
You're wrong.
Yeah, that's not.
Oh, what alignment are you referring to then?
So the nodes of the moon in the heliocentric model are the point at which the moon's orbit around the earth and the ecliptic, which is the earth's orbit around the sun, intersect. That's what the nodes are in the heliocentric model. So essentially in their model, when the moon, sun, and earth line up is when the orbit of the moon and the ecliptic line up, which is why they claim the eclipse is happening.
Yeah. So what evidence do you have that's flat earth evidence for what you think the eclipse is then? Because you're giving us globe earth heliocentric, really.
Well, on a flat earth, it's similar. It would just be that the ecliptic is just the sun's path above a flat earth. And then the moon's orbit is tilted 5 degrees to that ecliptic. So it's similar. It's when those two orbits intersect is when the eclipse happens. But the nodes are known points in the sky. So whether those are involved directly, whether they're causing the darkening of the light or what that is. But the point is that those nodes are just points in the zodiac at which eclipses happen.
Nice.
Yeah, but
this is where it's difficult to believe you, that you're being honest, that
here we go.
You don't. Who is that?
Spurs chemo.
Who's that?
Chemo.
Who's moaning?
Oh, that's not the money you meant, sorry.
Chemo was going, oh no, real evidence.
Either way, Geo, given everything that you've just said about what you put forward to us as how they could know the eclipses and all this with all your nodes, that's all heliocentric. Globe earth is incompatible with flat. There's no way that you have these situations with a flat earth to begin with. Why are you doing this?
Well, the zodiac map that I showed it's a geocentric chart, and the nodes are just points at which the eclipses happen. So you don't need any heliocentric model.
Okay, fine. Drop heliocentric. It's still got to be a globe for the sun, earth, and moon to be aligned this way.
Well, I don't think when eclipses happen, I don't think the sun, earth, and moon are aligned. I think the sun and the moon are aligned with the nodes above a flat earth.
Mm-hmm.
Why show us a chart?
Then make these angles work with your flat earth and have that causing an eclipse. eclipse.
No, we're not building you a model.
Right, you can't do this. You can't reconcile these two things is the problem.
Walter Bislin.
That's the point. And it will be lost, and it will be buried, and you will go on just oblivious as ever.
Walter Bislin.
So on that chart that I posted, I mean, basically that's the Great American Eclipse of 2017. That's the date is up in the upper left, August 21st, 2017. So the nodes, I mean, I could point out which are which of the symbols, but I won't for the moment. But the sun, the moon, and the nodes are aligned. And then on the left is the rising. So that's everything that's rising above the horizon. The very top is called the midheaven, which is the high noon when the sun is directly above you. So that whole chart gives you the position of the eclipse, the timing of the eclipse, and the type of eclipse. And it's a geocentric based chart.
Excellent.
It's not flat.
Of course the Earth is flat. Space is fake. You cannot have gas pressure next to a vacuum. What is wrong with you people?
No, geocentric isn't flat, I think is what.
Geo means it's not moving, yes?
Right, but it doesn't mean it's flat.
Yes, because space doesn't exist.
Geo doesn't mean it's not moving.
I thought it meant stationary.
No, stationary means geostationary. Geo means Earth, stationary means stationary.
Oh, like a geo.
Geostationary means stationary with respect to the Earth. Like our satellites that are geostationary.
I always thought they meant the Earth was in the center, everything went around it.
We're talking about geocentric.
Chemo, grow up and get an education.
What? Globe education, no thanks, and end up having not being able to prove a thing. No thank you.
No, just learn the meaning of some words, especially if you're going to use them.
Well, I mean,
you can't prove a thing now. That's your position. The flat Earth position is we don't know anything about anything
until we do science on it. Once we've done the science, we'll have.
What science have you done?
Well, this is the point. We've been tricked into thinking there was science, and now we're about to conduct science for the first time. BioJewel is going to conduct the gravity. BioJewel is going to conduct the gravity experiment for the first time live ever on TV.
You're not doing that. That's us doing it.
So when
we are doing it, me and
when
Bio.
is that going to happen?
Me and Bio, well, we're just trying to get the stuff online. We've just bought the vacuum chamber, and then we're just going to get things set up. We've got enough cameras, I think.
You know that he gets very annoyed by you trying to associate yourself with his experiment.
It's for all of
you
us.
Keep saying we here, we've got the cameras, and you haven't done anything at all, have you?
Well, no, I haven't done that, but I'm with him the whole entire way, supporting, cheerleading him basically. But we're going to show that gravity is a force. Aren't you guys excited? I mean, this is the first time we're going to see results. He's probably there now, doing it right now, testing it, practicing it. Going through it, checking it out.
Why does he have to practice? Why does he have to practice, and not just perform the trial?
I don't know. I'm just thinking he's going to want to try and test it first, yeah, at home.
Well, no, I think that's a valid question because Mark Sargent pointed that out about Jaren. He said that Jaren at the Salton Sea or wherever they did the laser test, that he didn't do a dry run first, and he embarrassed himself on the Netflix thing. And my question would be, why would he need to do a dry run of science?
So don't embarrass himself, because mass does not attract mass in a vacuum. You do realize that, yes? He thinks
no, I don't.
You don't realize that. Well, he thinks it does, and I'm the first person once again to recognize that mass does not attract mass in a vacuum. And he's challenged.
Where did you observe that?
Sorry?
Wait.
You're just making stuff up.
Brian Cox dropped a feather and a bowling ball in NASA's giant vacuum chamber. So how did that?
That was edited. So when we tried to replicate NASA's because science is supposed to be repeatable. Do you agree or disagree? Do you agree with me and the community that science is supposed to be repeatable?
Yeah, but Blue Mamba is doing that right now.
You know that I do.
Yeah, but do you agree that science is supposed to be repeatable?
Repeat it, Chemo.
What?
You know that I do.
You do, yeah.
Did you try and?
Hold on. So Mac Gubber, Muck or Mac? Muck, Mac. Yeah. So this you talked about the ball and feather dropping in the vacuum, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So science is supposed to be repeatable. Now, when we try to repeat,
have you tried to repeat it?
When we tried to repeat this,
have you tried to repeat it?
When we tried to repeat this observation,
have you tried to repeat it?
Have to do it.
When we've tried to repeat this,
have you tried to repeat it?
When we've tried to repeat,
Moira, can you just let him finish, please?
Oh, fuck it. Okay.
When we
let him fucking derp on about his improper test.
Let him finish. That's all I'm asking you to do. Let him finish. Thank you.
Right, all right. But Gubba, when I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yes, if science is repeatable, when we tried to repeat this experiment, the results were not the same. We managed to show that the ball and feather do not fall at the same rate in a vacuum. So NASA, not
they do.
Sorry.
How did you do that?
So you get a vacuum. You put two objects in there. You let them go at the same time.
Clear. Chemo didn't do this.
No.
Why do people see that he has to do this? We don't claim that globe people have to recreate every sign. Is he one of those people who says that you have to personally see the Zetetic method?
No.
You personally have to see everything?
No. I say to the ballers, doesn't have to be their experiment. Just show a experiment. Anyone's experiment of Cavendish in a vacuum. And they won't do it. Not one. Ever. So, anyway.
That's just untruth.
Anyway.
But, Kimo, you're just the only person that I know of that actually claims that Cavendish doesn't work in a vacuum. So where are you getting all this?
Yeah, I'm the first person. I'm the first person to realize. Well, hold on a second. If mass attracts mass, then obviously this should work in a vacuum, and we should see the results. And there should be no independent variable that's causing it. We manipulate. Why hasn't it been shown? Then I started asking around. Hey guys, has anyone seen Cavendish in a vacuum? And they were like, yeah. You moron, you silly flat earther, of course. I'm like, where? They're like, oh, it's on paper. So I'm like, well, why isn't it on, why can't we see it? They're like, well, you're just stupid. You don't need to see it. We tell you it moves, so accept it. And I'm like, but. They're like, no, just accept it. So it made me start thinking, well, if there's no Cavendish in a vacuum, maybe it's never been done before. Never been observed, and it can't be done. So, biodual.
There's a slight problem with that.
Why?
See, because you were the one that was asking about it, and everyone else said, "Okay, well, why don't you do the experiment?" And you didn't do the experiment.
Good question.
So biodual's doing the experiment for you.
No, yeah, we're doing it. Yeah,
and you are the only person that asked for it to be seen.
Yeah, but we're working together to.
But you weren't willing to do the work yourself. That's what we figured out.
Yeah, it's not my claim.
I forget which step in the scientific method, Chemo, is it must be on video.
No, we're just looking for the observed phenomenon, the results.
Hold on, you're required to see it. So which step in the scientific method is the experiment must be videotaped so Chemo can see?
Oh
which step was that?
That's not what I'm saying. Anyway, look, McGubber, look.
The peer review papers and articles that are written up about this, you won't accept because it's not on video.
Right,
Thank you very much.
Listen up, McGubber, you were like, go to the BBC.
You were like nothing.
And like they've dropped a ball and a feather. And I'm like, well, they edit it, cut it. And you were like, well, that's science. So I'm like, if we try to repeat that, yes, it's not repeatable, McGubber. And then you're like,
where did you repeat that?
Exactly. You're like, where did you repeat that? And I'm like, well, check this out. I've just posted.
Well, you didn't. You just told me. Like, did you show me something? Like,
yes. I posted in the chat.
Okay.
It's been debunked by Spurs Chemo. So Spurs Chemo.
So what did you do? Yeah. But what did you do?
So
I don't have.
So
someone else's videos.
So
you got someone else's YouTube and found out when the experiment went wrong.
5 experiments. We tried to repeat. Not Cavendish. We tried to repeat the feather and ball, and every time it failed. Action Lab
Did the ball not
failed.
fall?
The scenes.
Did the ball not fall? What do you mean fail?
Did the scenes where it didn't work?
Action Lab
missed out
failed.
the scenes where it did work. You were deliberately deceptive in cherry picking which parts of those videos you showed. This is outright dishonesty, and you should be ashamed.
Action Lab failed. There was even a
You
long.
didn't fail. You only showed the experimental errors stage. You did not show the successful stage.
So even we had a long tube, McGubber, to say, okay, maybe those tubes are too small, like the boxes. So they got a longer tube, and then they were so sneaky. The cameraman pulled away at the last second when it showed that they didn't fall at the same time. How do you explain that, McGubber? Explain that one with the long tube. The long tube.
What long tube?
There's a long. You'll see in the video a long tube soon enough. A long tube. Then the ball and the feather are miles apart from each other. The cameraman sneakily tries to pull away quickly, but I was on it, so I zoomed back in with my zoom, and then took a picture of them being separate. See, and they were like, "Oh yes, look, it fell at the same time." You know, that's science. So we can't replicate McGubber things falling at the same time in a vacuum. If you can, I'm ready to look at it right now. But remember, they can't touch it, so we don't want anyone to hold it. That doesn't count, and you can't slow it down. Like I'll slow it down myself. Just put it in normal real time.
Why can't you slow it down?
No, don't slow it down. Do not slow it down. I will slow it down.
I mean, I wouldn't, but why couldn't I?
Don't slow it. Don't mess around.
They're
with
both slowed down.
Don't mess
No,
around with
Chemo can't justify any of these. He puts all these random constraints on for no justification whatsoever.
Don't
It's
mess
just
around with the speed.
You don't even have to see them land. You just have to see them fall for a while.
At the same rate. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's a lie. Yeah. It's a lie. Provide evidence of the truth. I've given you numerous experiments, once again, where they show nothing falls at the same rate. Now, BioDual will be coming along shortly with our experiment to show mass in a vacuum does not attract to mass. Once again.
So why, when I drop, I did this at a party once. I dropped a very dense object and a bag of like candy or something, which is not very dense. And I dropped them off a balcony to explain to somebody who was skeptical about like gravity, like have all objects have the same acceleration. So when I dropped those objects off the balcony, why was that different than in a vacuum chamber? Sure enough, both objects hit the ground at the same time. But
relative density disequilibrium, yes.
Yeah, but like surely in a vacuum chamber, it's dense. It's denser than the nothing around it too. So there must be something else going on.
Yeah, the medium. You change the medium, you change the direction.
What? So if I change the medium, so instead of falling down, it falls 30 degrees to the left and backward and up?
You can get any direction you like with relative density. There is no down. There is no bias down, McGubber. Welcome to welcome to the leaders of the new school. We're educating, communicating with people like yourself, helping you to realize that you've been lied to about the shape of the Earth, and gravity is not a force. There's no science to back it up, which is what we're waiting for. We know gases move in all directions, and that's simply because of the medium that they're in. We know that if we change the medium, it changes the direction. It's all relative, basically, McGruber, and we can.
So how do I get the direction 30 degrees to backward and to the left and up? How do I get that?
You've got to change the medium.
Well, that's
what substance could I put an object in that would give me that direction, have it fall that direction?
So you can take gas in air, and that will go in any direction that you need it to. Because gas goes in all directions. But you want to control...
You said any direction I need it to.
Yeah, but if you want to control it...
Not all directions.
Yeah. I said it can go in any direction. So if you want to control the direction, you should control the medium.
Okay, but I don't want it to go down or up. I want it to go 30 degrees to the left, behind me, and up.
So control...
3 dimensions, right?
So look, let's...
so what medium can I have that would do that?
Let me help you. So when we've got a piece of paper or a leaf in the air, it doesn't just fall down. It goes to the left, to the right, up and down, until it's going down, but it still can go in any direction. That's because there's more denser air.
No, that's wind currents.
Exactly. What does the wind create? Creates a density, yes, and creates a push. Then it moves that way. Because the air behind
but if you drop that in a vacuum, it would just fall down.
Yeah, because you're not manipulating the medium.
Oh, God.
In a vacuum, it'll fall down, yeah.
You're talking to yourself talk, man.
Yeah, but if you change the medium, you're not listening, are you?
I am, but you're right. I think we're talking past each other, and I think you're being disingenuous when I say, what if I want to move, like, again, 30 degrees, like, you know, behind me, 30 degrees to the left and up?
You've got to control the medium. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, and I'm saying, what do I have to do to the medium to get that direction of falling, to get it to fall that direction? You said I could change the medium to control the direction of falling.
Yeah.
So how do I do that?
Why is this so difficult for you to understand? So, if you want it to go 30 degrees, you would keep that 30 degrees, that line where it's going, clear of the medium, and behind it and around it.
Don't condescend to me, please.
So why is it so difficult?
Because it's bullshit, and I'm exposing the bullshit.
Right. So we want that object to move 30 degrees. Yeah, is what you said. So we need to keep that
30
path.
degrees.
Try to listen.
To the left. From behind
a little
you,
to the left from behind. So whatever position, that path has to be kept free of the other medium. Is it clear? Look at
you said if I change the medium.
Look here. Look at Foolish's picture with their lines going in all directions. Yeah, in the chat box.
I'm on my phone. I can't see anything.
Okay. Well, you should take a look at this picture. The object can move in any one of those lines as long as we control. So where he's got it blue, if you want the object to go down just the blue line, we make white, brown, green, everything red. And then it will only go down the blue line. If you want it to go down the green line, up and to the right, change the medium of all the other colors and keep that one path free from the medium. Is it clear for you now?
You mean
not that difficult?
You mean things should be falling from denser medium towards the less dense medium? Is that what you're saying right now?
Right. So we know a ball, like if you put a ball, a basketball on water, it will float. But if we clear the path for the ball, 30 degrees, whatever angle, the ball will go in that area. So what can a ball sink in? What other medium? Air. So if we make an air path down into water, it will go follow that path. As long as we change the medium, it has to stay in that path. Just like a density tower. Can't get a ping pong ball to stay at the bottom. It will go to where its layer is. Is it clear now, McGruber?
I don't know. I just don't see any practical, like, where do we see a different media create a different, quote-unquote, downward direction?
No downward direction. It moves in all directions.
So that's
you have
why
an upward.
Downward air quotes.
Sometimes you have an upward direction.
Or diagonal direction. Any direction. He wants to control the direction, though, Jeremy.
Oh, little kid science experiments do this. Elementary school.
Not that difficult, McGubber. Because if it was gravity, I would ask you the same question. If the object's falling at 9.8 meters per second because of this force, can you slow that force, that acceleration down? Can you speed it up? Can you make the object stop and come to a stop? No acceleration. And then speed it up and then slow it down. You can't do that with gravity.
I got a question for you. A density buoyancy question, actually.
Okay.
So we agree that I don't know. Okay, take a stick of butter, right?
Okay.
Now a stick of butter will float, like float in water, right? You agree?
Okay.
And we have one bowling ball, okay, and that's going to sink in water, and that's denser, right? We agree that the bowling ball is denser.
The medium that it's in, yeah.
No, the butter is less dense than the bowling ball. Do we agree?
Yeah, you said the bowling ball is more dense than the medium it's in, yeah?
No, I'm not talking about the medium. I'm talking about the amount of grams per cubic centimeter. Like the bowling ball is denser than the butter.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so get one bowling ball and put it on the end of a balance. Okay? And get 5,000 sticks of butter. Okay? And put them on the other end of the balance. Why does the 5,000 sticks of butter weigh, or why does that end of the balance go down, and the other end of the bowling ball end goes up, even though the bowling ball is more dense than the 5,000 sticks of butter? If the downward force is simply buoyancy and density, why does the denser object, the bowling ball, like the 5,000 sticks of butter is still less dense than the bowling ball?
But is it more dense than the medium it's in?
Yeah. In the case of what do you mean more dense than the medium it's in?
There you go.
If you did it in a vacuum,
you've got to start thinking.
If you did it in a vacuum, or air,
what's the medium?
The bowling ball would go down.
What's the medium?
Or the bowling ball would go up.
So what have you discovered? In a vacuum and air, those objects go down. So what? They're just two different types of mediums. Right.
No, I told you that it's not a matter of density.
Yeah, if you change the medium, will your bowling ball still go down?
Yes. In air, the bowling ball will be down, but 5,000 sticks of butter will always weigh more than the bowling ball.
What is weight?
No, not way more. The sticks of butter are less dense, but they still weigh more. So they go down, and the bowling ball goes up.
Even the globe got confused.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't good for you, Chemo.
No, it's not good for you. We've got our answer. Nidhogg.
The less dense object goes down. Oh no.
Yeah. It's the medium that it's in. It's relative.
Sure. We're talking about air.
Yeah.
So explain it.
So in air, it's relative. The object and the air.
It's relative.
So the bowling ball should be going down, and it goes up.
Yeah, of course, because it's got more dense on the other side.
No, not of course.
Well, why wouldn't it if it's more dense on the other side?
Lifts up the more dense object, Chemo. That's a problem in your paradigm.
That's not a problem. That's down to the medium.
Like an aircraft carrier is less dense than a bowling ball.
So what would happen if you change the medium?
Irrelevant. Answer the question. We need to figure out why it happens in the current medium before we go to a different one.
Well,
why does it work in air?
Well, that's the answer. It works in air in this medium, but in another medium, it's different. You get different results.
Okay, so if it works in ours and it doesn't work in another medium, it's not density. It has to work in all mediums.
That is the whole point of relative density. It's the medium or the object. It's relativity. Don't you understand relativity?
Yeah. The bowling ball is relatively less or more dense than the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, but what about the medium it's in? If you put the bowling ball and the aircraft carrier underwater, then what? Exactly. See, it's all about the medium, not the object. Think about the medium. Is the medium mercury?
The medium doesn't change its weight, Chemo.
Well, what does a basketball weigh underwater?
The same as it weighs outside of water.
We'll go and prove it then. Demonstrate that. Demonstrate some, please. You see? It's all poetry. It's all religious
It's
talk.
not poetry, it's understanding of basic physics, Chemo, which is something you lack.
Well, as I say, we're waiting for BioGeol. He'll be one of the first ever globers to do real science with independent variables accounted for, manipulated, and we'll get a result and a conclusion from this. So,
I can't believe this would possibly. I can't believe
it's gonna turn
this
me,
would possibly.
Jeremy. Yeah.
What?
If it moves, Jeremy, it's all over. I'm back on the globe.
No, this crazy, Chemo. Listen, you could have mass attracting mass on a flat Earth.
No. There is no such thing, Jeremy, as mass attracting mass. It's not even a thing.
But if whatever BioDual is going to show you, that same thing could happen on a flat Earth.
Nope.
Like, I don't understand why.
No. Gravity is a
appeal
concept.
to possibility. That's all you got.
No, it's a concept, Jeremy, a made-up idea to support the globe. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, if BioDual's thing works, if BioDual's thing works,
then it's over.
That same thing could still happen on flat Earth.
Jeremy, we don't have any science. Okay, we're looking for the science. We asked for science. We're about to be presented with science. What more can we say, Jeremy?
I don't know. I can.
You wouldn't even realize it.
I could see that happening on a
You think it's going to move?
flat Earth. It's possible.
Jeremy, it's
Chemo,
been 5 months.
If you pay close attention to the thing that I shared, you'll notice that relative density requires an acceleration in order to work. Relative density cannot be both requiring acceleration and cause of acceleration at the same time. It's not possible.
Well, you got a container there. That's where the pressure comes from.
Flat Earthers are so good. Like relative density is an understood and defined term in science. You guys are just twisting it to
you've got a container there.
Somehow comport to your.
Do that without the container.
You can just say gravity because that's what you're.
But anyway, Jeremy, you should start panicking because Ranty's gone. He's found an observation. BioGeol was working very hard to provide mass attracting mass. Now, Jeremy, if they move, what are you going to say is the cause?
It could be anything. Listen, it could be mass attracting mass, and that's fine. You could have that on a flat Earth.
How?
Wait till I do
how?
Just wait.
Well, just assert it. You don't need to say how. Just assert it. It's true. And
that's not true.
Then that's your argument.
You could have a very dense ground underneath you, and it could go out for a long ways. We might be in the middle. You'd never be able to tell. There is a certain scenario.
Yeah, it could be turtles all the way down, couldn't it?
So hold on, Jeremy.
It could be turtles all the way down.
Jeremy.
There's a scenario where you could have mass attracting mass.
Are you going to deny the science then?
I wouldn't deny the observation, but I mean, that doesn't mean it can't happen on flat Earth. I'm just saying, Chemo. At least wait for me to do my circle thing.
But
before
Chemo, you're just going to skip over that thing I said earlier, huh?
Yeah, you got a container doofus.
If gravity can be a thing in your model, then it comports to a sphere because that's what objects tend to do. They hold the shape with the least amount of what is it? Potentiality for maintaining their shape.
Right, and what happens when you keep spinning a ball?
Jeremy, one last point. Bio says that if it doesn't move, he becomes a flat earther. Gives up the ball. So how about that?
Cavendish already showed it move. So
listen, first of all, when you spin a ball,
when you spin a ball, snack, or Nidhug, it spins out into a pizza shape disc like Saturn's rings. Second of all, Chemo, you're bugging, bro. I'm telling you.
Jeremy, there's no science, brother.
Jeremy, when you
it
spin
could be
a top,
electrostatic. Hold on, because now I'm involved with two people. Just I don't even.
Let's not talk over each other. Try and keep it calm today because it's my birthday. Thank you.
Oh, happy birthday! How old? What are you, 60?
Birthday.
56.
56.
Happy birthday, Joe.
You're a real
So
fuck.
we're having a nice, calm, lovely day where we're all nice to each other.
Where's the cake?
We're gonna try and incite a little rage.
It's a pipe dream.
It would have been good for Bio to produce it today, then, for you.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Jeremy to be a real.
So, Jeremy, even with your sub-solar point, if you went to the globe of that, I'd be like, Jeremy, that's not even science. And that would
really?
Yeah, that's not science. They don't even know what the sun is.
That's way more hardcore than this mass attracting mass distance. You could have that.
You think that's more sciencey, yeah?
I'm not even saying it's science. You could have your thing on a flat Earth. My thing on a flat Earth would be ridiculous to explain.
What? The sun? We don't even know what it is, Jeremy.
I know, but the point, I'm telling you, you're bugging over the mass. That bioduals thing, that could be electrostatics. It could be magnetism. It could be the ether.
If he cheats, he's going to cheat, Jeremy. He's going to use a magnet in it. That's what I reckon. What do you reckon? You're going to cheat us?
I don't know.
Rule all that stuff out.
He did say he's going to use a turkey, though, Jeremy. Or lettuce.
No one saw that.
Have you ever provided the criteria for this test, Chemo?
Look, it's not my claim. Me and Bio are building an experiment for everyone to see live on YouTube.
You aren't doing anything, Chemo.
Wow.
I just asked you a simple question. Have you ever provided your criteria for considering the
idea
test?
what science is, Chemo. If Bio
with Bio, yeah, we know. As long as if he makes that move.
Why don't you shut up?
If
while
he
I'm
makes
in the middle of talking.
To be fair, mate, I think you are talking in the middle of them. Go ahead.
My question was simple, Chemo. Have you provided your criteria for considering the test successful? As in, what level of vacuum is required?
Yeah, we've spoke about that.
And what level would you come up
about
with?
It's great, but where is it documented that you're now? Can you put something together in writing saying what you consider to be a successful test?
What?
It's only fair, Chemo.
Well, we went on about one tour
tank?
or something like this.
One tour?
Something like that. Or I think you could get it less than that. But we just stipulate. I mean, for me, as long as the thing says
one tour, is that enough?
As long as you said you're gonna get it less than that. As long as it says 0 on the thing.
What do you
then I'm happy. I'm not.
Is one tour even a vacuum?
Well, you said you're gonna get it less than that, didn't he? So.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
No, I need to know. I think we need to know what your requirements are because you're going to try to weasel out of this one way or the other.
No. As long as he shows on the
gauge. Yeah.
As long as he shows on the gauge that he's took all the air out, I'm happy. I know he's not going to cheat us. So.
We cannot deal with loosey-goosey bullshit like pull all the air out. Tell us a level of pressure that has to be achieved.
Take out the air. That's it. Take out the cause to the effect.
You can't do that. All right, then you just constructed an impossible test.
No. Me and Boy have already been through it. We're working together very closely. Well, not that closely, but...
Chemo, you're going to come up with a bunch of bullshit excuses. I'm going to try to pin you down to something here.
No, you're just jealous because you didn't do it first, right? Bio's going to be the man. He'll be remembered for the first man doing real science online. And he'll be the first one to convert.
I agree with you, Chemo.
So of all the ballers, he'll be the first one to actually convert somebody with actual science.
I totally agree with you. And I don't want to see him get screwed over by
I'm ready to go to Mars, the moon.
Down.
I'm ready for all of this. I'm
trying to nail you down so that Bio does not get screwed over as the first man to ever do actual science. I don't want to give you any excuses to be able to say, oh, Bio didn't achieve a vacuum.
Is he almost done it, has he then? Is that what it is? He's getting close. Ooh, he's getting close. Ooh, everybody.
Why can't you do that?
been 5 months, nearly 6 months. He needs to be close.
Big Blue might be right here, though. You guys should come to an agreement.
We have already, Jeremy. We have already.
Right.
That's why he's doing it. We spoke about it at length, and we're satisfied.
Why can't you come up with a number then?
I mean, it's good you guys are doing this.
He previously told Bio one tour. So
something like this, yeah. That was
yeah, but what? That doesn't even sound like it's a vacuum. Is that a vacuum?
One tour is extremely liberal.
Yeah, but I'm sure I'll be able to get. Look, all he's going to do is do his best to get all the air out. Okay, so obviously he's not going to achieve maximum, but in my understanding, there's not enough pressure to cause movement, acceleration in that vacuum. So it won't move. No need for it to move. Can't move. Why would it move? There you go.
So all he has to, so according to you, all he has to do is do his best to make a vacuum.
Look, very simple.
Okay.
The cause to the effect is the pressure or the air. The pressure inside the box or the air inside the draft around. If you put it inside a vacuum, then it's not going to move.
Is he going to have a pressure gauge in the
Of
in
course,
the video?
of course. The
All
bells
right,
and the
just
whistles, Jeremy. This is no...
Just checking.
Yeah, he's got to do everything. He hasn't got to do half. You know, he's going to show it live as well. This is like a super exciting time.
But you're going to just be dishonest and refuse to give a number. Is that right?
We've just been
We
through
were
it.
talking
Blue.
yesterday about putting containers of gas on either side to show that gas attracts gas, but or
Yeah,
something
you
like
can
that.
do all sorts of experiments now with this.
Yeah, I told Blue to
But
do
you're
that.
not going to specify anything to do with the pressure, with the maximum pressure that can be in there, or the temperature, or anything like that, right, Chemo?
We have already,
You're leaving yourself. You're leaving
Is he
yourself
listening?
some
Can you hear
way
me?
out of this, aren't you?
Can you hear me? We have already...
Be honest, Chemo.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can Blue hear me? It's already been done, Blue. We've already been through it. He's already bought the product.
Then tell the rest of us what you're doing.
Well, like I
Why
said,
is it a secret?
It's not a secret. But we don't want to put any more bad luck on it now, Blue. We want to get the results.
Why
yes?
can't you answer my question?
Aren't you superstitious?
Why can't you answer the question, Chemo?
I've already given you a number. Less than one tour.
What number did you give me?
I said one tour.
You get your answer.
Well, I'm not saying it again.
One tour.
That's it.
One tour or less.
I'm not saying it again. That's it.
All right.
I mean, space is 10 to the negative 17. That's a small ass number.
Yeah, I'll be happy with
Like
that.
one. I don't even I don't know about how Tor is valued, but it sounds like one is like atmospheric pressure.
Atmospheric pressure.
760 is atmospheric pressure.
760 Tor.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So then one is a vacuum. All right.
Now, if you have mercury in a tube or whatever, it'll rise up 760 millimeters, right?
I'm going to the globe, Jeremy. When this experiment comes out, go on, Jeremy. Give me some advice. Give me the advice. I'm listening.
This is unadvisable. I do not advise this. This could happen on flat. You could have mass attracting mass on a flat Earth.
I have to argue this, Jeremy. For years, we've been asking for the science. Where is the scientific proof of the heliocentric model? And they pulled out Cavendish, and we were like, but we know the cause to that. Have you done it in a vacuum? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, gives a look. And they were like, no, it's only on paper. So I was like, well, where's the observation? So, Jeremy, think about it. 500 years, nobody has ever recorded it in a vacuum. Come on, who do you think's on the winner here?
Why would you? Why would you, Kima?
That is weird. Wouldn't you want to record as much stuff for like posterity as possible?
Jeremy, tell me I'm not onto a winner here.
Why would you not want to, Blue? Wouldn't you want to record?
Do you have any idea how long these tests take? Do either of you have any idea how long it takes to run one of these tests?
Jeremy, tell me I'm not onto a winner here.
Have any idea
how slowly those
pretty
balance
fast when I
beams
drop
move?
something.
Never before
It
seen.
happens pretty fast when I drop something.
Well, then you ought to look at what happens with a Cavendish with a torsion balance.
Maybe it's
that
not the
doesn't
same
happen
effect
very
you're
fast.
measuring.
We're talking about
Maybe it's-
hours and hours just to make a video of one.
Oh yeah, why? That's difficult.
There's a 10-hour YouTube video of an alarm going off.
I know. 10-hour flights from one country to another.
What a ridiculous excuse, Chemo.
fact-
Hours
the
and
fact of the
hours.
matter is,
Shit.
that's not how science.
I could watch grass grow
Fellas.
live right now on YouTube.
You can watch paint
That's
dry.
Grass grow.
That
You
is,
can watch paint
the
dry
fact of
for
the matter
hours.
is, that's not how science is done, Jeremy. Scientists don't do that. Scientists do the tests. They write the papers. They publish the results. You don't get YouTube videos to go along with a scientific paper, for God's sakes.
Where is it on their scientific website then? What about their own website? Ah.
Do you think they had websites in 1942, Chemo?
No, I'm saying.
Gerald Sanders did this in 1930. And
Anyway,
again in
Jeremy,
1942.
think about it. Who do you think's onto a
they
winner
had a
here?
website, Chemo?
Jeremy, think about what's happening, right? I'm not just saying this like a shot in the dark here, right? Nobody has been able to show mass attracting mass in a vacuum ever. So
yes, they have over and over and over again.
So Jeremy,
Chemo.
what makes you think
That's just-
bio
that's
will
just
show
false.
mass attracting mass? That's the point.
When you set up Cavendish, by the way, and you don't introduce the masses, you just have the torsion balance in there with smaller masses. If you do that and you don't introduce the larger ones, nothing happens. And if nothing happens, it's not air moving that causes it. I hate to tell you.
Wow.
Exactly right.
What do you think, Chemo?
Well, I'm just saying, Jeremy, think about what I'm saying. I don't just say random things for like effect or for
I'm
fun.
just saying random things.
It's not just random thing I'm saying here, Jeremy. This is a calculated, deep, well thought out situation we have here, okay? The idea that mass attracts mass is just literally a made up idea. Like made up.
Well, it is.
Yeah, but Chemo, even if
Chemo, why are you being so dishonest?
Right,
We've been
who's
over
doing
this.
that?
I asked Chemo, let me finish. I asked you the other day,
Mhm.
right? If the air pressure inside Blue's room is 14.7,
Mhm.
right? And there is no wind in that room, then the pressure on the balls is equal all over the ball. So the air wouldn't move the ball because the pressure is equal all over the surface.
So then why? So the question is
he
then.
he doesn't have to do it in a vacuum. All he has to do is make sure there is no wind. That's all.
So the question
And you're
is
still
then.
demanding a vacuum.
So if what you're saying is true, why doesn't it move in a vacuum?
But that's your claim.
does.
Nobody has claimed that.
Ah, it does. Let's have a look, Blue. Show us. Oh, we can't yet
I've shown
until
you the papers.
you can't show it until the very first person on Earth,
I have shown you
BioDuel.
the papers, and that's more than enough, Chemo. That's more than you deserve.
I'm not the Russian
You're the one making this claim.
you know, police. Show
You're
me
the
your
one
papers.
making the claim. You're
It's
the
not
one
the
making
border
claim that it
control.
doesn't
Show
move
me your
in a vacuum.
papers.
It is the burden of proof is on you, Chemo. When do you plan to show us mass will not attract mass?
We
in
are
a
not
vacuum?
in
That is your
1945.
positive claim. We have never made that claim ever.
You have to check borders.
Nobody has ever
Show me your
claimed
papers.
that mass doesn't attract mass in a vacuum other than you,
I'm on to
Chemo.
a winner, Blue.
It's your claim. It's up to you to prove it.
I'm on to a winner, Blue, and
No, you're not.
either you win or I win, because if he shows mass attracting mass, we shut the flat Earth down overnight. If he doesn't show mass attracting mass, we shut the globe down overnight. This is a big test.
Chemo.
This is.
No, Chemo.
No, Jeremy?
We're gonna go on. I'm going on without you with it.
Yeah.
This could happen.
Well,
Listen to Jeremy, Chemo.
Jeremy, you're gonna have to find out the cause, because we're gonna have the cause for the water sticking to the ball. What then?
It's not actually sticking.
Well,
It's
you
not
get what I
like
mean.
sticking.
You understand what I mean?
Jeremy's Sam and Chemo's Frodo.
All right, I'd like to say at some point, someday, for Chemo or Jeremy especially, because he seems to actually be willing to talk on occasion. If the test is done without the masses in place, the large masses, and the torsion balance does not move, does that not eliminate wind as the cause of movement?
The question is, why doesn't it do all that in a vacuum?
No, the question is, if wind is the cause of the movement, why does the torsion balance not move until the weights are introduced?
Again, the question is, why doesn't it do
No,
this in a vacuum?
that was what I stated, and I asked my question. Now, can you answer my question, or will you ignore my question? Which is it, Kimo?
I mean, a hypothesis. We don't know any of that yet.
No, my question is, in the absence of the masses in place, why does wind not move the torsion balance?
No, that's not true. How have you eliminated the wind?
Well, the fact that the torsion balance doesn't move until the masses are put into place. Do putting the masses in place make wind?
Well, if you could show a demonstration of it, then you might have a point.
Yes. Blue has done this dozens of times. He's shown
know the
that
cause of
it does
Blue's
not
experiment.
move in the absence of the masses, and when the masses are moved in, it moves. Now, how do the masses cause wind inside of this sealed container?
Well, then there's pressure inside the container.
Okay, there's pressure inside the container. Was there pressure there before the masses were there?
What? So you had no pressure? What do you...
I did not ask that. I said, was there pressure in that container prior to the introduction of the masses?
Of course.
Okay, so that's not changed. So what did introduction of the masses do? And the omission of the masses caused for it to remain stable. And all right, I'm done with you. I've won.
You can watch a time lapse of Cavendish setup, and before they introduce the masses, they let it sit for like hours to eliminate any possibility that there's anything other than the masses being the variable that's being introduced. And the torsion balances don't move by wind because they stop moving and wind is still in there, or whatever you can. The pressure in there is still in there, so it can't be that's moving the torsion balance because they account for that. That's why they wait so long before they introduce the masses. If you've actually done the experiment or even watched the experiment, Chemo, you would know this.
See, Chemo knows this, and this was pointed out to him the other day. That's why he changed his theory of the balls moving from the pressure in the room to gusts of wind.
So all of your questions will be answered.
You wouldn't need the larger masses.
None of that matters because until bio shows that it does move.
No, I kind of think I got a win here, Kimo, and you won't address it.
No, I just had to pop out a second. But the point is
what was your question?
Go on.
Question is, without the masses, why with the external masses not there, why does the torsion balance not move if wind is the cause? If pressure is the cause?
It could be a lot of different things. Who knows?
Oh, go ahead.
What?
Could be something. Could be the electrostatics in the masses, or the magnetic field affecting the objects you put on.
I don't disagree with that.
It could be something in the air. It could be something in the air that's affecting the mass you put on. A lot of different things. Tons of reasons.
Could be magic too, couldn't it?
Could be something in the air itself that's affecting the.
Could be gravity.
But Jeremy, you do understand that's not science. Just guess or something that you can't manipulate.
Well, Chemo, even after this is over, you're not gonna.
What?
There's not gonna be any science to it. You're not gonna know the cause.
Why?
You're not gonna know the cause after they're done.
Why? I'm asking you why.
It's not science. You're not gonna know the cause.
Jeremy, why? I'm asking you why. If we predict the cause, if my predicted cause is the air, and we remove the air and it doesn't move, then what?
Oh, actually, that's pretty good. Yeah, you might have.
But if it does move, then what? What's the cause?
And if it does move, they still won't know because It does it in the air and out of the air, so you still
Yeah,
won't
so
know
hold
the
on.
cause.
So-
Unless you're successful, unless you're correct and it doesn't move.
Yeah, but you can't say
they
that,
wouldn't know
Jeremy.
anything new by doing that.
Listen, Jeremy. If it does move, right, and you're like, well, it's not air, it's not magnetism, it's not electricity. You're saying electrostatics. How are you going to test for electrostatics?
Oh, a magnetometer, a Gauss meter, a voltmeter. Oh, there's lots of shit we could do for that. What's your problem, Kimo?
The point is, Kimo, if they're successful and
Yeah.
it moves, they don't know anything new. They still don't know the cause.
Why?
Why
I'm
it's
asking you
moving.
why, Jeremy. That's not fair. You've got to try and predict the cause.
But if you say it's the air is causing these masses to move,
But
then you've predicted something.
Yeah, but
These guys still haven't predicted anything if it moves in the vacuum.
No, they're saying it's the mass. Yeah, that's their cause.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous.
Yeah, but what if it turns out it is the mass?
Mass attracts mass.
Jeremy, you're not being fair now. What if it is the mass?
If it is the mass,
Yeah. Then what?
I don't know. Like I said, that could happen on a flat Earth too. So I wouldn't get.
So you accept it will be the mass, yeah?
No, I don't. I don't think that's what's going on.
What would
I
it
don't
be?
know what it is, but
Haven't I eliminated air
Moya,
saying
hold on
that
a
it's
second.
still
Moya,
in
hold
the
on.
absence
Moya, I've got this.
the masses?
Jeremy, predict the cause then. If once you see it. It's not air, it's not magnetism, it's not electricity. Predict the cause. Now, right now. Predict something.
It could be the. Damn, you're making me stretch here. It could
That's
be the
what
ether.
I'm saying, Jeremy. You can't just make something up.
Could be the ether moving.
All right, fine,
It
fine.
could be- it could
Okay,
be
fine.
magic too,
Hold on,
couldn't it?
Darkstar. I've
Could
got
be
this.
that just.
So, Jeremy.
Say it could be magic,
just
Jeremy.
lead-
Jeremy.
It could be that. Hold on. It could be that just lead attracts lead.
Maybe it's color.
Hold on a second, guys. It could be.
Maybe
I'm not even
gray
the ether.
attracts gray.
Oh my god.
Maybe it's color.
Guys, let him speak.
Maybe gray attracts gray.
Guys, I know, but he's been asking.
Yeah, I mean, at most you've found that like if you do lead, all right, lead attracts lead, at the most.
Could be
Brass attracts brass.
Well, they do talk about an electromagnetic field that's everywhere, or a background field, even in quantum theory, which tried to, jock the ether. So I guess ether by another name could be the cause, this universal background field that pervades everything.
I mean, Kimo, I could see this happening in a flat Earth either way this plays out for you. I mean, your shit would be amazing if it didn't work in a vacuum, honestly. But if this did work in a vacuum, like this wouldn't be nothing new, and I don't see why you would switch sides over it.
Jeremy, it's all about having the goods. Okay? So, if we've got the goods, i.e. mass attracting mass, and then you're like, well, it could be this, it could be that. That's what pretty much the Globers do, right? They just make it up. The cause. And we're about testing the cause. So if we test it and find out that it's not atmosphere, the air, it's not electric, it's not magnetism, and then let's say your lemon is like, well, it's the ether. Then you've got to manipulate the ether to show cause and effect. And that's
Well, in current quantum theory, energy turns into matter and back into energy. So I don't know if you could really prove much of anything with that, because if it's this universal background energetic field or whatever the hell it is, you're not going to get a jar or a cup of it. You're going to, with that theory in place for interpretation, just have at best, something that'll be open to, interpretation as to causes and or effects. So unless we can, I guess, separate out from this universal background medium, ether, whatever it is, a jar of ether, I don't know if it will be a satisfactory enough proof for you. Because even in the current theory, they say energy goes back to matter, goes back to energy in a, constant dynamic flow and process in the current quantum, theory or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, again, it kind of doesn't matter what anybody says, because this is how powerful the scientific method is that you, the experimenter, manipulates your variable. So, you know, I can't argue with you if you say it's ether. That's up to you to show that ether is the cause. Like we can take, and you're saying it can't be done, but we know with air, we can remove the air, add air, remove it. With magnetism, we can turn it on and off. Electricity, on and off. Now, ether, can we turn it on and off? Can we vary it? I'm not denying it. I'm just saying, is it something we can manipulate, right?
Because the way that you're talking about it, it needs to be extractable. And I don't know if that's the case if, say, you're dealing with a background medium of energy that goes in and out of all objects. And, goes in and out of everything and is everywhere. It would be like the fish in the water trying to separate out the water that the fish is in.
I got you.
It would be impossible.
In your mind, is ether a force?
Experiment or whatever.
Is ether a force? Is that how you see it?
Basically, in the current theory, they say that it's this universal electromagnetic field that's everywhere. That's what they call it now.
But is it
the
a force?
Source of all these, particle energy, particle things that come in and out of existence.
Lemon, is it a force though?
A force?
Yeah.
I guess in the old, paradigm of Newton, a force was, transferred between two things. So in that level, it would be a force. But now they talk more about like interactions.
Okay.
They don't talk about forces. Something forcing something else to do something. They just talk about it a little differently. But I guess you could say forces come from it. So yes. But Chemo, when you say force, you mean something else is forcing something else to do something?
Like the ether is causing the acceleration of the balls.
I guess you could say that, but there's so much induction too. Where the ether may be over here, but it vibrates in a certain way, sending out a wave, and it just kind of convinces the object to act a certain way. It doesn't necessarily just bump into it like a billiard ball.
Mm-hmm.
From the old mechanistic idea of force, it's an interaction that's kind of convincing the object to do something. So when you think about force like that without, necessarily direct collision, it gets a little complicated. But I guess you could say so, sure. Yeah.
Like a persuasive ether.
Yeah. So you're saying the object can choose not to move if the ether doesn't persuade it enough?
It's very gentle.
And how exactly?
It's a cunning ether.
I mean, even in particle, the current particle, theory with all this quantum mechanical stuff, they're smashing stuff together and, like the energy will, turn into, what we call particles, and some particles will annihilate back into energy. It's a very dynamic process, energy, particles, energy. So when you're talking about some sort of constant quantity that's still around to be forced around in the process, it's meaningless. You just have energy and particles forming, unforming all the time. So talking about a force with, quantities that change up like that is a little, kind of meaningless, But I don't know. Guess we'll have to see. But I guess in short, yes, it causes forces flowing in and out of stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Is Jeremy still here? Just very quickly.
Yeah, I honestly, I think mass could attract mass on flat Earth. I don't see any reason for this to switch. My circles would be a reason to switch, because that would be tough to explain. That almost can't happen on a flat Earth.
But we're not being fair, Jeremy. I mean, what are the ballers supposed to do if we're asking them for science? And every time they bring science, it doesn't follow the scientific method. And then when they do decide to bring one that follows the scientific method, you're like, well, I don't think we can use that. That's not fair, is it? They're actually going to follow the method, no?
If mass does attract mass, I'm saying this could work on a flat Earth. Like, why switch over that? It could still work on a flat Earth. I wouldn't base the shape of Earth or the surface that we live on off of that.
Is it atmosphere happening? and so can water. That's why you're so resistant to it.
Why am I resistant to it?
Not you, flat earthers in general. Because atmosphere couldn't stick to a ball, and you'd need a dome, and you'd need all this shit if you didn't have a base to keep things down.
But Jeremy, I'm going to ask you again. Jeremy, because look, you're confusing me now. You hear the ballers say, give me something where we use the scientific method, right?
Yeah.
So give me something then, how we can use the scientific method.
For mass attracting mass?
So let's say...
phenomena that we see?
Look, because of what I'm going to say, my observed phenomena, I've got one ready for when I'm asked that, but I don't want to say it just yet. I want to wait
just because you can see something happening doesn't mean you can come up with a cause for it. That's how we come up with laws, when you don't have the cause.
No, but you got to predict the cause to the effects, yeah?
Yeah, but if you can't predict it, if you just have an effect and you don't know the cause, that's when you get a law.
How do you know the cause?
There are things like that.
How do you know the cause?
Hot going to cold, like the second law of thermodynamics, high pressure to low pressure. We don't know why that happens. It just always happens.
No, but we're talking about an observed phenomena in nature. Things falling. One could say...
Yeah, so the hot going to cold thing is an observed phenomena too. But we don't always know the effects of the causes to the effects.
Well, that's not difficult. It's the temperature change, no?
Yeah, but why? But they don't know why they don't know why the second law of thermodynamics happens.
Anyway, point is, how can the ballers follow the scientific method and satisfy flat earthers or anyone?
I don't know if it's possible, because it sounds like they adopted a general framework to guide their experiments. Do they have a jar of gravity? No. But they reason back via their philosophy that forces have to move objects, and therefore this force must be inherent to matter. Then they switched it up and said it's inherent to space with the attempt to find this Higgs boson field or whatever the hell they did. So they de facto said that it's in the ether of space. You know, the substance of space, whatever it is the source of this interaction, this force, this, this tug and pull or whatever.
Right. You said the perfect thing there, Kimo, when you said satisfy a flat earther, right?
Yeah.
It cannot be done unless it backs up what the flat earther believes. If it doesn't back up what the flat earther believes, it doesn't matter what you present to them, they're never satisfied.
Well, that's what I'm asking now, Highlander. I'm trying to find out from Jeremy if the scientific method is followed, comes up with results, then what?
Then
I don't know. They've already given up on the mass attract.
Like the Cavendish, right? Big Blue spent his time, money, and energy into doing that experiment for you
Wasted
guys,
his time, you mean?
and then you come up with a different excuse to why it's moving.
Blue didn't ask us.
Kimo's always had this excuse.
Yeah, I said to Blue before he did it, don't do it like this. Oh, I'm not doing it for you guys. It's only for me. And I'm like, well, there's going to be no results from this because we know the cause. Oh, it don't matter about it. I'll still know what I'm doing. I'm going to get the results. He did it. And then now we know the cause of his effect. Very simple.
Well, how do we know that though? Because you say we know the cause, but how? Where are I getting this from?
Because in a vacuum it doesn't move.
Oh, stop. Okay.
Stop.
You're saying that it's not
didn't
going
mute you,
to move
Blue.
in the vacuum,
Someone
but
asked me
can
to
you
do it.
actually show me where are you getting this from? Like, show me a citation, a website, something scientific
we don't
that
have a
would actually say
citation.
this.
We don't have any citations.
We'd have to reason using philosophy, since so much of even this physics is very Far East mystical. Does it have a substance to present? Not really, but it does have a general framework. And if we're trying to get like a substance in a jar for proof, that doesn't appear to be the way that they operate even now. I guess at best we'd have to reason to it, philosophically or with the best reasoning possible. But as far as I can tell, we don't have this stuff in a jar, this substance of space. We don't have quarks in a jar. We don't have electrons in a jar. These are entities that they reason back to. So I guess at this point we just have to compare philosophical reasoning.
Which is why, Lemon, if we stick to what we know, not made up stuff, we can think of the cause to any effect if we stick to the rules of what we can manipulate. If we start to think of things that we can't manipulate, like quarks or ether, then how can we show that to be a cause of any effect?
Well, you would have to at least present a viable framework by which we could act in the future to discover something. You just point and say it's probably in this general area. And hopefully one day we can do some experiments to provide a better proof or whatever.
Yeah, we've got one
Emo,
coming.
there's-
Go on, Jeremy.
I'm just gonna say, like, there's causes that we don't know the effects to. Or I'm sorry, there's effects that we don't know the causes to, and we might never know them.
Sure.
This could be this mass attracting mass thing could be one of them.
We've never seen mass attracting mass, Jeremy. What are you talking about?
If it works in a vacuum, this still doesn't. It still could be something that you'll never know the cause of.
Jeremy, if it works tomorrow, it would have worked yesterday. We don't have anything yesterday. So what makes you think it's going to work tomorrow?
No, I'm just saying if it does. If it doesn't work, this will be the biggest scientific discovery in a long time, probably. But
from me, yes, from me and Bio,
for humanity. For
well,
everyone.
yes, we will lead the charge, absolutely, by showing live that mass does not attract mass. So yeah, we will lead.
Guys, do you really listen to yourself, guys? For humanity, a Cavendish experiment. You're dumb as
If
fuck.
it doesn't work in a vacuum, guy.
It's never been seen before. Go on, Jeremy.
Yeah. No, for the goofball that was just laughing like a little schoolgirl. Yeah, if it doesn't work in a vacuum, this would be a giant discovery for all of humankind. Yes.
Well, then you can prove stuff by inference. You can show how mass attracts mass doesn't quite work, like you said, Jeremy, in a vacuum, and have your alternative explanation in the corner pocket to try to persuade people and gently nudge people toward the other place that you think these forces are coming from. If we could show that mass does not attract mass, like, with a magnet or with a massive gas or something like that, for me, the old Newtonian idea is just baseless, but it looks like they've already moved on to the Higgs boson field in space anyway. So it kind of, looks like that ship's kind of already sailed. They're just looking for that gravity force in space now. With the space-time curvature, Higgs boson, what the hell ever field.
That's actually irrelevant to the question. Actually, I mean, we have an observed phenomenon, which is, let's say, gravity. The law of gravitation actually explains what's happening and how it's happening. Basically, it's explaining what's happening, and we can model it, and we can make predictions based on that model. But why?
It's a generalized
why it's actually happening? Even science doesn't know it.
It's not universal enough to be trustworthy as an observation. Not everything forms this gravimetric ball mass.
Can I finish my...
You're still going. Okay.
No, actually, I hadn't finished. My main point being the fact that we don't exactly know what is causing the gravity doesn't mean that gravity stops working. Because this is a separate question.
Tom, shout out, you're very funny.
Well, you've reasoned back to some sort of phenomenon. The question is whether your abstraction or your reasoning is fully valid, especially since not all things form a tight gravimetric ball, or not enough of that happens, or it's not universal enough for a flatty to accept this general philosophical statement. Could there be some sort of gravity-like activity, whatever the hell that is? Sure, but it looks like they're looking for it in space now. They're no longer saying that it's inherent to matter, as far as I can tell.
The Globers should be advising against this experiment, really. Because if there's no mass attracting mass in the vacuum, where do you go from here?
They think it works. They think it works, Chemo.
I know. They've never seen it
That's why they
before.
want to. Either way, I mean, this will be good for. It'd be amazing if it didn't for the scientific world.
Yes, Harley.
You still stated that it's not gonna work in a vacuum.
Yeah.
And I asked you actually.
This is Nobel Prize shit.
Yeah, but I asked Kimo to actually provide this citation. Where is it getting from?
Harley, look. So I used my logic, right? This is how I did it. So
but, we don't. In science, many things aren't actually based on logic. They are not even intuitive.
No. But if I explain you the order of events, then it will make sense, hopefully. So
Timo's trying to falsify it. Isn't that what you guys want to do? Falsify shit? Wouldn't this falsify the notion that it's the mass attracting the mass if it didn't work in the vacuum?
He's not doing anything, Jeremy.
Why would you not want this to happen?
I do, but he isn't doing anything, is he?
Isn't that the goal of science, to falsify?
I am doing
something dark. He's doing what you're doing. He's trying to get someone else to do the experiment for him and then claim credit for it.
We're working together very closely. Not so close, but we're still getting it out there.
No, Kimo, you're not doing shit.
I am doing this bio. We're guiding him. I'm praying for him.
I have been laughing. You know why I have been laughing.
I am praying for him that he has a successful experiment. He needs guidance from angels and stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
Come on. How much have you invested in this experiment there, Chemo?
Look, you are all nervous.
Win a Nobel Prize in physics.
They're all nervous.
Jeremy. How much have you invested in this experiment, Chemo?
Say again,
He's got a lot of time. He's got a ton of time and effort and investment.
He bothers BioJewel every time he sees him in the Discord.
Everyone's nervous. Everyone's
nervous.
How
much have you invested in this, Chemo?
Well, me and Bio have been in this since December.
No. I asked you a specific question. How much have you invested in this?
As in money?
Yeah.
Well, my time is worth a lot more. And I've given him the incentive to show that mass either does or doesn't attract in a vacuum.
So you haven't invested anything into this experiment?
Well,
you got a lot of time into it.
Yeah, I put time into it.
What part of it have you done?
Time is money. I mean, what do you want?
There you go.
Yeah. What part have you done?
Look, me and Bio have decided.
No. You. Not you and Bio. You.
Like I said, I'm with him through prayer.
Oh, so you haven't invested anything into this?
No, look.
Monetarily.
Go on, Jeremy.
Go ahead, Chemo.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, Chemo's got a lot of time. Chemo's a mover and a shaker.
Jeremy, this isn't about you. This isn't about your explanation. This is about
I'm telling you
Chemo's
what
explanation.
Chemo has invested.
Yes,
when did you say Spurs dancing,
you're not
Jeremy?
Chemo. Chemo can talk. Chemo can talk. He has words. He's been on here all day
I'm
talking.
just going to phrase it a little different because you're not understanding.
How much have you invested in this?
All right, you're not listening, are you? Right? So
yeah, he's not going to get it.
He's not listening.
I'm listening. How much have you invested? So far, I hear 0.
We've been going at this since December. We're now December, January, February, March, April. Soon May. That'll be 6 months.
You've asked him how many times he's done it.
He's never done it before.
And that's all you've done is asked him when he's done it.
Look, Paul's shown a paper that it's been done, but there's no observation.
You haven't read the paper, Kimo.
So what about
Don't
you?
need to
You
read
could do
it.
that.
I'll have a little gander though. Here we dramatically improve the torque detection sensitivity by developing an ultra-sensitive torque sensor with an optically levitated nanorator in a vacuum. We measure the torque as small as 1.2 something 0.5 times 10 to the negative 27 in 100 seconds at a room temperature, blah blah blah. So that's what the claim is, Paul. But no one's ever done it, seen it, observed it, witnessed it, recorded it, Paul. That's the point.
Well, that's just false. That's just false because that's what I did about.
What?
That's wrong.
What's wrong?
You're wrong.
About what?
Paper said he measured it.
No,
What
did
you
they
just-
observe it?
He have numbers, Kimo.
Right,
From
listen
where
to
he
me.
have these numbers.
In your world, everything is a mathematical equation, okay?
If they didn't observe it, they wouldn't have measured it, Kimo.
Yeah, they can calculate, using maths, that if this was in a vacuum, how much they expect the boards to move and at what rate.
That's not actually how science works.
That is how your science works.
No, it isn't. This is a straw man.
No, it's not a straw man. The idea
It
is that
is.
mass attracts mass, and you haven't shown...
It does. Yes, we
haven't-
have.
You haven't shown this
Time
observation.
and time again. I can show it to you right now if you want to watch.
Go on then. Is it in a vacuum?
It doesn't need to be in a vacuum. That's your claim. If you want to see it in a vacuum, you need to do it in a vacuum.
That's because it doesn't work in a
Nobody
vacuum.
else
Why?
makes that claim, just you.
Why doesn't it
Just
work
you,
in a
Kimo. You're
vacuum?
the only one making the claim.
Blue.
That's
why?
your claim. You do it.
Why does it work
Do
in a
the
vacuum?
test. We're waiting. I'll wait for you.
Chemo's making the claim that this doesn't exist. Mass attracting mass does not exist in a vacuum. Anyone
No,
claiming
no,
it
no,
does.
no.
Anyone claiming it does, the burden of proof is on them. That's how burden
No,
of
no,
proof
no, no,
works.
no.
You can't make somebody
Exactly.
prove non-existence.
That's exactly ass backwards, Jeremy.
ridiculous.
You're not going to reverse the burden of proof on us.
You can't make somebody prove non-existence of something. It's fallacious and it's ridiculous.
Jeremy, that's not his
How do you
claim,
know
bro.
it's fallacious? Have you tried it?
Doesn't work in a vacuum.
Non-existent?
It's fallacious to ask someone to prove non-existence of something.
Why it shouldn't.
How is that fallacious?
Hold on. Doofus is trying to say something. Doofus?
No, the claim legit is it doesn't work in a vacuum. That's what the claim is.
Yeah, I'm asking why doesn't it work in a vacuum?
It does.
Oh,
That's a
does it?
fallacious question.
Does it? Let's have a look then. Show us.
You have
Read the
no
scientific-
mechanism for
Ah,
showing it
you
to
have
you,
the paper.
Kimo.
Doofus, your mic is way
showing you
too
the
low
papers.
to be involved at this moment. But we can
Scientific experiments don't come with YouTube videos, Kimo.
see, we can't hear you when Blue was talking.
Well,
Doofus.
in the Western conception, yes, because we think of nothing as no activity, nothing coming from it. We don't think of the vacuum as what appears to be the conception now, teeming with energy and stuff coming in and out of it. So when we say a vacuum nothing, we have two different definitions. One that says there should be no activity, no becoming, nothing coming out of it. And the other one that says it's infinite potentiality, infinite energy, stuff popping in and out of existence, energy, stuff like that.
I just want to remind you.
I
I just want to remind you that I was the first person to recognize this. Okay, you tried to sweep it under the carpet and go with Cavendish outside of a vacuum. But I'm just saying it's a dark starry. The reason why we're bringing it up over and over again is because you're trying to brush it under the carpet and say, oh, well, we've done it. It's on paper. Let's move forward. Well, that's not science, Dark Star. What we need to
No,
see...
it's just moving the goalposts. People forget that you weren't asking for this like a year ago. It evolved into this because everything else was satisfied. All your other requirements were satisfied by people.
Well,
this is the one thing that's a bit more difficult to do that hasn't been done yet. If BioGeo does it, he'll move the goalposts again.
No. If he does it, it's good night, flat Earth. Right?
Commit to something on paper, then. Commit to exactly what you want on paper, in writing, and then you can't back away from it afterwards.
What? Where shall I write it then?
Do it in this Discord server.
I've said it enough
I'll,
times.
what?
I've said it enough times on record.
Yeah, but you say stuff and then it doesn't matter afterwards. No one clips
Chemo,
it
I'm
and
sending
plays it
you a
back to you.
link.
I've got to
Chemo,
write.
I'm sending you a link from a .edu site.
Oh, you found one, Jeremy?
No, this is just what the fallacy they're doing to you.
Chemo, you have no mechanism by which the Cavendish experiment cannot work in a vacuum. You have no basis for that claim.
Yes, I do, because of science, due to science,
No.
I know that I'm able to manipulate my independent variable, my cause to the effect. So therefore, if I'm able to predict that cause and remove it, and it doesn't move, well, that's science, Doofus. That's science.
So what's causing
Well,
it to
mass
move
attracting mass
outside
came
of a
from an
vacuum
old
then?
framework.
I
So
know.
what's causing
Mass
it to move
attracting
outside
mass
of
came
a
from a very old framework where matter was surrounded by an Epicurean void, the type of void that had nothing in it.
Uh-huh.
Nowadays, they don't think of space as a void with nothing in it. So mass attracting mass can now be reformulated since it's surrounded by a sea full of energy. virtual particles, well, space is a solid thing. So mass attracts mass is no longer the only viable option in town, since in the neighborhood are a bunch of possible, particle interaction field mediators that somehow transfer this somethingness that we're trying to call gravity, whatever the hell it is. It could very well come from space.
Lemon,
So
this
what's
is the
got to
beauty
do
of
with anything outside of a vacuum.
This is the beauty of the method that we must follow, because if we don't want it to be woo, as they say to you, or if they don't want it to be religion, like we say to the Globers, they must wiggle their independent variable to come up with the cause, their predicted cause to the effect. Now, if you can't think of one, just leave it at that. You don't guess the cause, okay? And that's the problem we're in right now. They've guessed gravity is the cause of their entire model. Once me and BioDual show that there is no gravity, no mass...
Kimo, there's no you in that test. There's no you.
I said we.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no you in BioDual.
Wow.
That's right.
You know
You're
what I
not
mean?
involved in it, Kima.
You understand what I mean, though? Once this
You don't
is
have a
shown...
dime invested in it, do you?
Blue, you're just jealous that you didn't do
money
it
invested
first,
in it?
okay? I know you're upset, but Bio's going to get the
Do you have
medal.
any money invested in it?
Bio's
My
going to get the
question is, do you have any
rewards.
money invested in it, Kima?
Look,
Pointing something else out that you said earlier. You did not have any conversation with me.
I don't know why you're
about
so angry at
Cavendish
me,
before
Blue.
did
I
it,
did
Kima.
tell you not to do
Let
it
me
this
point
way.
something else out too. You never said any of this bullshit about
Yes,
Cavendish
I
not
did. I said
working in a
not. I said
vacuum
don't bother doing it, Blue.
until I proved it worked.
No, you said
Until
I'm
I
not doing
started
it for
showing
you.
it. Then you came up with this bullshit. So don't lie about it, Kimo.
You said I'm not doing it for you guys. I'm doing it for me. I don't care about you flat earthers. I'm doing it all for me.
You are not doing
You
anything, though.
never said.
Blue.
Never had a conversation with me about this thing in a vacuum.
Yeah, in a
Kimo,
vacuum. That was the idea.
ever. Only did that. No, you only started that horse shit after I built
No,
Cavendish.
I was
and
on
got
Fight
it
the
working.
Flat Earth 2 years
That's when
ago.
you started it,
No,
Kimo.
I was on Fight the Flat
Come
Earth
on.
2-3 years ago. Go and check out the
Be honest
video.
about it,
And I asked
Kimo.
him for it, and he said, just like you, yep, I can show it. And he showed that picture of the vacuum, not the video.
Yeah, and that was well after I had Cavendish operating, Kimo. That's only that you only started this vacuum horse shit after I started showing video of Cavendish.
Blue. This has been going on for ages, Blue.
When you
Ages.
started it. You very dishonestly earlier tried to tell me that you told me about all this before I ever did Cavendish. No, you did not.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's give
certainly
the other people a chance to talk about other things and whatnot. But Jeremy, is Jeremy still here? Jeremy, if this works, we've got a lot of talking to do. A lot of talking, you know.
I mean, it's going to be the same as before. They still don't have a cause.
Yeah, we do.
They still don't have a cause.
Yes, we do,
I mean,
Jeremy. We have a cause. It's the warping of space-time. We have a cause.
do
We
you hear
still
that,
don't
Kimo?
know why mass does that. That's the only thing
Kimo,
we
warping
don't
of
know.
space-time. That's their
Yes,
cause. Okay,
exactly.
They can't. They
That's what
can't,
results in. That's
they
what
can't have that
results
as-
in the apparent attraction of mass to other mass. You're going to piss me off to the point that I do this motherfucker in a vacuum, Kimo. And when I do, I'm going to shove it straight up your ass.